Hi, I'm Zapchon. I spent a lot of time on Garry's mod when I was younger, and a terribly large amount of that time was dedicated to a custom game mode called DarkRP. It's basically the Garry's mod equivalent of one of those Mafia mobile games you see. DarkRP nowadays is most known for being that one game mode with all the funny rage moments and uncomfortable power fantasies. And it was exactly the fucking same back when I still played it. But I didn't have a good enough PC to run GTA yet, so this was the best I had. The server admins are a well-known part of DarkRP too, because they tend to either be immature kids or very immature adults.
Yeah, you're British, you're French.
You need help.
Shut the f up, you're British.
I was the former. A lot of said admins also got their position not through hard work, but paying for an admin role that's often made available next to pay-to-win VIP classes. If you took one step out of line, then you could wholeheartedly expect to be fizz-gunned off the ground and dragged to one of the dreaded admin sits.
Citizens aren't supposed to have guns.
Admins aren't supposed to suck dicks.
Where shouting matches usually ensue. Some servers even let you pay to be unbanned, which calls into question if the mods were only as harsh as they were because it meant more potential customers, but that's a whole other rabbit hole. The point I'm getting at is that DarkRP is generally not a good experience, and that's why today I'm just gonna take some not so subtle inspiration from one of my favorite Seth videos and regale you all with some short DarkRP stories from my socially isolated youth. I'll start with a quick one. One summer's day, I was walking down the street on the map RP Downtown V4C when a chirpy English kid showed up. He asked me what his name was, so me, being the gullible dumbass I am, read out his name. Euthanize me. Another day, on a similar variant of the map, there was an unusually organized mob faction who ran the bank. And these men were fucking rich. 13-year-old me tried my best to join them, and after offering to make the owner a Minecraft intro, I got in. We kept it going for a good 30 minutes until the police heroically raided the bank and heroically retrieved its cash. On another day, the leader did make a new bank, but unfortunately the Minecraft intro method didn't work a second time. On the flip side of this, I also tried robbing a bank a few times on another server. On one occasion, I actually did really well going in solo, holding back 3 or so cops who kept returning before they were supposed to after I killed them. Though once I got to the vault, I quickly realized the money bundles on this server all had timers on them, mainly so that you couldn't just add them to your inventory without needing to escape with them as physical props. There was no way I'd be able to carry all of them across the relatively busy main city area myself, so I thought fast and ran over to a nearby truck driver. I asked him to help me move the money, promising him 50%, so he agreed. Fighting off the cops again, I loaded the money into his truck and... Moving on, some of the better DarkRP servers allowed you to use a selection of the toolgun options besides just welding. This allowed for some Wallace and Gromit looking contraptions if you were creative enough to make one. If the admins didn't come to shut it down for no reason, that is. A more popular contraption was a machine to automate the shaking step of the meth cook roll. It came in handy for the few times I was the designated basement cook / prisoner of some gangs. One time I was part of a larger base that took over the entire hotel. It had an elevator system outside powered with winches that we used to kidnap people. On another occasion, after me and some lads raided a base, we found 5 money printers inside. However, there was only 3 of us. So we came up with an ingenious solution. We built a money printer-sized hollow rectangle out of some basic props, then loaded the printers inside and welded it together. Garry's mod physics were not kind to the rectangle on the way there, and some printers kept falling out of it. And I'm pretty sure a random guy on the street managed to swipe one without us noticing. Besides the usual base making methods in DarkRP, many servers allow mega bases, which is an attempt from one of the larger groups on the server to annex an entire portion of the map. I remember being a part of one such megabase called Diamond City, named after the Fallout 4 location. My role was the radio host, however some other fucker in the base happened to have the same idea at roughly the same time, meaning that we had 2 radio stations within less than a mile of each other, Diamond City Radio and Diamond City FM. I want to say that the competition was fierce, but unfortunately nobody seemed to be all that interested in my back-to-back Michael Jackson bops. Another megabase story is when I ran one that took over the entire industrial district. Some particularly confident raider with a paid hacker class tried to break into the base despite us still being in the building process. He was easily taken down when he tried to pass through a decontamination chamber, but then not even a minute later he was no-clipping back in and grabbing me with a fizz gun. I realized that I had just killed a paying admin. He then started ranting to me about how my setup was unfair and that it had to break a rule somewhere. Though lucky for me, I had studied the rules of this particular server server like a proper autist. The admin seemingly left and I went back to running my business. What I didn't know at the time was that the admin had actually entered an invisible spectating mode and would then go on to watch me for upwards of 30 minutes. I eventually made the grave mistake of discussing the front gate's button to a teammate. Immediately, the admin uninvisibled and started cackling like a witch. He announced that I had committed an unforgivable crime. I had pressed the number key on my keyboard to open the gate rather than pressing the in-game prop button I was standing right next to. He banned me for 3 months. In a similar excerpt, I ran a clan one time that didn't have a mega base, but did involve us taking over all of the houses on a street like it was Monopoly. 13-year-old me was definitely cooking with this one, however the clan got too big for me to manage, and random guys who I hadn't even spoken to were showing up in my office like they were my best friend. One of them eventually shot me and took the fucking money printers. Throughout this video, I've been mentioning DarkRP's classes and jobs. One such class is the Hobo. In DarkRP, the only purpose of the Hobo is to mess with people and throw shit at them. At one point, me and a bunch of other hobos banded together and took over a parking space near the police station, dubbing it the Hobo Fort. The mayor promptly showed up to tell us we couldn't do that, so we took down the fort and relocated to a nearby park, aptly calling it the Hobo Park. A particularly fun-hating admin then showed up and told us that we couldn't do that, even though the park was a mostly empty part of the map that didn't have any active bases. The hobos fought valiantly for their rights in the ensuing admin sit, but unfortunately, Hobo Park was eventually shut down, its inhabitants crestfallen. The last story I've got is one of an extremely locked down base on the top floor of a hotel, owned by a guy who I'm going to refer to simply as Joker. Joker did something to piss me off, I can't quite remember what though, he probably sniped me or told me that Sonic was shit. I tried to raid his apartment, and got ass blasted. After some appropriate seething in the chat, I remembered that the server had the Spider-Man sweep. Using the web gun and some parkour, I scaled the outer wall of the hotel, and to my luck, the back door wasn't as fortified. After a few attempts that resulted in getting ass blasted again, I managed to brute force my way in and kill Joker. Joker then proceeded to give a politician-esque thank you speech, addressed towards everybody who was a part of his base, before calling an admin on me because I had forgotten to announce in all chat that I was sneaking into his base. That's about all I have when it comes to DarkRP. Most of this happened nearly a decade ago, so details are a bit fuzzy. To reiterate a bit, all of the stories I've told here are cherry-picked anecdotes among countless hours of bullshit and boredom. I haven't even covered the knockoff game modes like Star Wars and Military RP, both of which somehow managed to be worse.
Okay. I don't care. I really don't give a shit. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Or the absolute bottom of the barrel, World War II RP, which tends to attract actual neo-Nazis. Before I end this though, I want to quickly thank you all for the support on the Payday video. I know animation channels branching into yapping content doesn't tend to go over well, so this was a pleasant surprise for me.
Hey, don't talk to me like that. I got build in here too. How's that? I got build in here.
Yo, I think you're ugly.
I think you're ugly too. I think you're dumb.